Caitlin picked you #1 overall in the draft, but now she's hurt and can't play in the game. How much does that kind of change things for you, or maybe your excitement as well?
I don't think it changed my excitement. Obviously, I'm bummed for Caitlin, but like I said, anytime you're an all-star and get the opportunity to play in a game, I mean, you just take advantage of that. But we talked about it this morning, and Caitlin was like, "Yeah, I'm on the sidelines. I'm coaching." I was like, "Coach C, okay, we're gonna see it." But I think it's honestly gonna be great. Caitlin does a great job of once again pouring into other people, regardless of her situation. And so for us, we're just gonna continue to do that and just have some fun.
Aliyah Boston just lit up the internet with some jaw-dropping honesty about Caitlin Clark. The All-Star Center didn't hold back at all. She got real about how teaming up with Caitlin has completely changed the way she plays. Her teammates were caught off guard. The media didn't know how to react. And the level of praise she gave? Totally unheard of. This moment is blowing up online, and for good reason. But before we dive into all the details of what she said, hit the comments and tell me, did you expect Aliyah to level up like this? Or were you one of the folks saying it was time to move her?
You gotta be in shape.
Oh, of course, you know it. Or it's okay. It's also, you don't have to do too much in an all-star game.
Exactly right. No defense.
Exactly.
Well, someone finally stepped up and spoke the truth about what it's actually like to share the court with a once-in-a-generation talent. And honestly, it's long overdue. We've heard enough of the drama and noise. Finally, someone's giving Caitlin Clark the props she's earned. Aliyah Boston didn't hold back. Her praise for Caitlin was raw, real, and straight from the heart. And let's be honest, it probably made a lot of people in the league squirm. Why? Because here's a star who's not afraid to admit that playing alongside greatness pushed her to be even better, instead of acting like she did it all solo.
I want us to reflect on the beginning of the 2024 season. I had not been familiar with her. I didn't remember her from South Carolina. I didn't know much about Aliyah Boston. I saw her with the microphone in her hand working draft, saw her on the set a few times talking about basketball, etc. But I wasn't familiar with her game. But of course, I had heard that she was the first pick in 2024, that she was the Rookie of the Year. Then when the WNBA season started and Indiana was going through all kinds of stuff, I didn't recognize her as what I would say is a first round pick or a Rookie of the Year. She seemed to be out of shape. She didn't seem to be ready. And so people were hard on her. I think she shut off her social media for a while. Very smart, Aliyah. Good for you. But then season began to kick in. The team began to get better. And especially the second half of the season, we got to see more of the team do well.
Let's go ahead and talk about the obvious. Early in the 2024 season, Aliyah Boston was catching serious heat from both fans and the media. People were calling her out, saying she looked out of shape, too slow, not ready, and even questioning whether she was really worthy of being the top pick in her draft class. The criticism? It was harsh, and to be fair, some of it might have been warranted back then. She genuinely looked like she was struggling to keep up with the tempo Caitlin Clark brings to the floor. But here's where things take a turn. Instead of dodging the heat or making excuses, Aliyah owned it. She flat out admitted she wasn't ready for the kind of speed and pace Caitlin plays with. She said she didn't fully grasp what it meant to play alongside someone who's constantly pushing the tempo and flying up and down the court. And honestly, that might be the most refreshingly honest thing we've heard from a WNBA player all year.
I've always said Aliyah is a great playmaker. If you watch her game, you know how good she is with the ball in her hands. She brings the ball up full court. She passes. She finds people on cuts really well. I mean, like, she's making impressive passes on people cutting, getting open. I mean, they're not just point blank wide open passes. So, it's another weapon for us, and she's been incredible in that regard.
But let's break down what this really says. Aliyah just confirmed what anyone watching with even half an ounce of basketball sense already knew. Caitlin Clark makes the people around her better. And not just slightly better, like significantly, measurably, statistically better. The impact is real. What makes this moment so big is that Aliyah had the confidence and humility to say it out loud. She openly credited Caitlin for pushing her to grow. And that matters, because let's be honest, there are plenty of players in this league who'd rather bite their tongue than admit playing with Caitlin boosted their game.
You just mentioned how, being kind of the host, the all-star, how special that is for you. And obviously, Caitlin Clark is still going to be around and be on the sidelines and stuff, but just for not being able to participate thoughts on like the unfortunate situation that she's unable to play because of her injury?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just unfortunate. I mean, you never want someone to be able to miss an opportunity like All-Star, especially when you're hosting in your city. But once again, like I said, Caitlin is she's going to continue to pour into us. She's going to have fun. That's Coach C on the sideline this weekend. And so for us, it's just, listen, we're here to have fun. But you also, like you said, you want to make sure that you're safe, you're healthy, because we have a long season.
Her response completely ignored the financial fallout unfolding right in the heart of Indianapolis. While ticket prices were collapsing and local businesses were staring down huge losses, Engelbert was busy talking about team profitability and so-called constructive dialogue. The disconnect was honestly unbelievable. Fans were speaking loud and clear with their wallets, and she acted like it was business as usual. What people actually wanted was simple, a real acknowledgement that the officiating had been awful. They wanted to hear what concrete steps were being taken to protect players like Clark. They wanted anyone, to admit that letting teams go after your biggest star is just bad for the league. But instead, they got more corporate jargon about shared goals and productive conversations. Engelbert's tone-deaf response showed just how out of touch league leadership really is, with both fans and players. While local businesses tallied their losses and supporters organized boycotts, she was focused on keeping the status quo. And by refusing to address the officiating crisis head-on, she didn't calm the backlash. She made it worse.
She's like with Caitlin as she deals with all this frustration and injuries.
I mean, just continuing to be in her corner and cheering her on. I think the biggest thing, especially, as a player and a competitor, it's super hard when you have to sit out. And so for us, just making sure that she knows, listen, we got your back no matter what. And I think that's really all we can do, because as a player, you deal with stuff differently and you kind of just get through stuff differently. So, I mean, we're just doing our best job of just letting her know, like, listen, we got your back, take your time, but we got you.
Let's be real. This was long overdue. Somebody finally stepped up and gave a real, unfiltered take on what it's actually like to share the floor with a generational player. And that somebody was Aliyah Boston. Her recent comments about Caitlin Clark weren't just flattering. They were honest, powerful, and the kind of transparency that's been missing from the league for way too long. Aliyah didn't just throw out a few nice words for the cameras. She laid it all out. How playing alongside Caitlin didn't just tweak her game a little. It completely changed everything. Her mindset, her preparation, her entire approach to basketball had to evolve. And that kind of admission, that's rare, especially in a league where pride often gets in the way of progress. Let's rewind to the start of the 2024 season. Aliyah was taking hits left and right, on social media, in the press, from fans. People were calling her slow, out of shape, questioning whether she was really living up to her number one pick status. And honestly, some of that criticism wasn't totally unfair. She did look a step behind, especially with how fast Caitlin was pushing the tempo. But here's where it gets interesting. Aliyah didn't run from it. She didn't deflect or throw shade. She admitted it. She owned the fact that she wasn't ready for the intensity Caitlin brought to the court. That kind of honesty? You just don't hear enough in pro sports. But this wasn't just some half-hearted compliment. Aliyah got real specific. She talked about how she had to overhaul her conditioning, rethink her training, and mentally shift her entire focus just to keep up. That's not lip service. That's a blueprint on how elite players actually push each other to be better. And the results speak for themselves. She's now averaging 15.6 points, 7.6 rebounds, 3.7 assists per game, and she's leading the league in field goal percentage at 56.3%. That's not coincidence. That's transformation. And let's not ignore what this really means. Aliyah basically confirmed what so many people have been saying for months. Caitlin Clark has that effect. She raises the level of everyone around her, not by talking, but by playing at a speed and intensity that forces everyone else to catch up or get left behind. A lot of players benefit from Caitlin's presence on the court and in terms of visibility, but barely any of them are willing to say it out loud. Aliyah did, and that says everything. Think about how much the league has grown in terms of attention, ratings, and visibility, all of it tied, in some way, to Caitlin Clark. And yet here's Aliyah, not only acknowledging that, but admitting she had to train and think differently just to match that energy. That's a level of self-awareness and humility you rarely see. She didn't make excuses for the early season struggles, even though they were rough. People were calling her a bust, tearing her down online, so hard she had to shut off her socials. But instead of whining or clapping back, she got to work. She spent the off-season grinding, conditioning, reshaping her body, sharpening her game, and came back ready to run with Caitlin. That's the mindset of a winner. Compare that to how some other players react to criticism. You hear excuses, drama, finger-pointing. Aliyah didn't do any of that. She let her game do the talking. Now she's gracing the cover of Slam. Her teammates are printing t-shirts with her face on them, and she's being hailed as one of the league's top centers. That's what happens when you accept the challenge of playing with greatness rather than pushing back against it. What stood out most about Aliyah's comments wasn't just the praise, it was the depth. She didn't just say Caitlin's great and move on. She detailed exactly how Caitlin's style, especially that fast-paced, vision-heavy playmaking, forced her to adapt. She explained that those early missed passes and turnovers weren't chemistry issues, they were wake-up calls. Caitlin was already operating at a level most weren't prepared for. Aliyah had to study her movements, anticipate those quick passes, and train her brain to see the game faster. That's not just praise. That's basketball insight. That's film room level honesty. And the timing couldn't be better. This all comes right after months of people wondering if Aliyah and Caitlin could even work together. Now, those doubts look ridiculous. Not only has Aliyah adapted, she's thriving. The critics who were calling for her to be traded have gone silent. All those hot takes about her being a bad fit? Aged like spoiled milk. She's not just surviving next to Caitlin, she's flourishing. And the way she describes preparing for Caitlin's sprint-heavy playstyle? That just shows how different Caitlin is from the average point guard. Aliyah didn't talk about tweaking a few things. She had to rethink how she approached the entire game. Most players aren't willing to admit that. But she did. And instead of hogging the spotlight, Aliyah made it crystal clear that Caitlin was a huge part of her success. That's the kind of respect and teammate-first mindset that builds real championship teams. Even her teammates are showing love. They surprised her with custom Slam cover shirts, not out of obligation, but because they genuinely respect her growth and honesty. There's no jealousy, no side eyes, just a team that's pulling for each other. And that kind of chemistry? It's rare. While other teams deal with internal drama and egos, the Fever are showing what real culture looks like, players lifting each other up, giving credit where it's due, and celebrating each other's success. Aliyah didn't show up hoping things would magically click. She spent the off-season building toward this moment, knowing exactly what it would take to keep up with a player like Caitlin. That level of intentionality is what separates the good from the great. Her performance backs it all up, but the way she talks about her journey makes it clear. This isn't just about putting up better numbers. She's completely shifted how she plays the game, and that's something that'll benefit her for the rest of her career. The fact that she made these changes under pressure, with the spotlight and criticism on full blast, says everything about her character. And the efficiency boost? That's not random. Playing next to someone who pulls so much defensive focus opens up space, and Aliyah's taking full advantage. The most powerful part of her comments might be her admission that, at first, she wasn't ready. That kind of vulnerability is rare in this league. Most would never admit they struggled to adjust to a teammate. But Aliyah's honesty gives her words real weight. She wasn't just complimenting Caitlin, she was breaking down, in detail, how elite talent can raise everyone's ceiling. Caitlin's passes, her tempo, her vision, it all requires not just skill, but a high basketball IQ to play alongside. That's why some players can't keep up when they land on a team with a star guard. It's not just physical, it's mental. Aliyah's growth also raises a bigger question. How many other players around the league could make that kind of leap if they had someone demanding excellence beside them? Her rise from potential trade bait to all-star and league leader in efficiency is a case study in what happens when you meet that challenge head-on. Her praise of Caitlin wasn't just kind, it was courageous. It showed a level of leadership that could reshape how this league views accountability and teamwork. And the timing, right after the All-Star break, makes sure everyone's paying attention. Aliyah made it known on the biggest stage that Caitlin Clark didn't just help her game, she elevated it. That's the kind of recognition Caitlin has earned over and over again, but rarely gets from her peers. A lot of players are too caught up in their own image to admit how much she improves those around her. But Aliyah Boston just set a new bar. Instead of deflecting, she gave real, thoughtful, specific praise that actually meant something. And the fact that it's gone viral just proves how rare it is. Because let's face it, most players aren't secure enough in themselves to give that kind of credit to a teammate. But Aliyah did, and she just showed the entire league what being a real teammate looks like. Her transformation and the honesty behind it should be required viewing for every player who thinks adapting or learning from others is beneath them. Because this is what growth looks like. This is how you build a winning culture. And Aliyah Boston's respect for Caitlin Clark? That was nothing short of perfect. What did you think of Aliyah's raw honesty and her evolution this season? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more real WNBA content.